Good morning, or whatever it is for you. I'm making this video to talk a little bit about the title of this class. So first of all, you'll notice on the course description that there is a catalog description and there is also a section description. So there are a number of classes that fall under this rubric, 18th century literature, and each one will have a different focus because it's impossible to take in the entire 18th century. So the focus for this class is literature of revolution and reform movements. So we will be looking at that this term. You may be wondering, however, why it is called the long 18th century. Like, what is so long about this century? So I'm going to explain a little bit about that. The 18th century is, of course, the 1700s. Okay. But the problem is that calendrical periods, like a calendar century, doesn't necessarily match up exactly with literary periods. So in the 18th century, we have both the sort of early to mid, (1700s), which includes in literary studies, you might hear of the Augustan period, that's in there. You might hear about Enlightenment thought, that's in there. Okay, but the 18th century also includes the Romantic period, which goes basically from, about the late 1780s to the 1830s. Okay, and because we want to make sure you get all the literary periods covered in your studies, the Romantic period might be covered in either the 18th century classes or the 19th century classes. And so that's why an 18th century class is a long 18th century class, because it actually goes from the 1700s into the 1830s, so that it covers the 18th century plus the Romantic period. And so this becomes your long 18th century. Okay, both the 18th century and the Romantic period. And this explains why in this class you're actually going to get some 19th century authors. So for instance, we'll be looking at Austen and we'll be looking at Shelley, and they are both 19th century. So that is why this 18th century is longer than others that you might encounter. Now I'm going to see if I can find the off button for this. There it is.